myself, Dheeraj Kushwaha. I'm Adobe certified expert as well as the Microsoft certified trainer. I'm having more than 10 years of experience in corporate for teaching these Adobe and Microsoft softwares. And if I talk about my teaching methodology, why I'm so different from other trainers, that I'm coming from corporate and from last 10 years, I'm teaching the professionals. So this makes me different because I have more practical knowledge in compared to the other institutions. So most of my students says that whatever I'm teaching much more in a practical way. So this is the most important thing that you can learn the tools or you can learn the softwares anywhere, but you will not able to learn the practicality or the application of those softwares. So this is what I can say that can make a huge difference in your portfolio, that if you have a practical knowledge of a software and you can tell the world that this is what I can achieve from this software or this is my portfolio, that makes a huge difference for you. And that's what even is the requirement of every student to learn from a trainer, that they just not only learn the tools but they also learn how to use the tool or what could be the use of this particular tool to the corporate, or how we can make this tool so useful so that it actually be a part of our resume and it can be beneficial for your company where you're working or do whatever. So without wasting much time, let's start the class. And here we're gonna talk about Photoshop, and not only Photoshop, I'm gonna teach you some of the things which are really important for you to know. So let me share my screen and see what topics are there which we're gonna cover today. So today we will talk about Adobe Photoshop CC. So this is the newest version of Adobe Photoshop. I think we all know about this software. This software is really known for the image editing and some of the photo editing part. So in today's class, we're gonna cover that what Adobe CC 2021 is offering as a new update, what is new in that, and why you should learn this thing. I will also cover some of the basics of photography that is really important for you guys to know, because this software belongs to photography, so we should know. One more very important question: what is the difference between image and a photograph? We generally use both of the terms. We use image, we use photographs, but we don't know the differences. We should know that where to use the images, where to use the photographs. And the biggest question, that in Photoshop, are we going to use the images or are we going to use the photos to edit them? Then the next topic will be like digital color modes. So like whenever you are working with any of the digital software, no matter it's Photoshop, it's CorelDRAW or any other software, you have lots of modes there. Like we have RGB, we have CMYK, some other modes are also there. So we should have a good understanding of these things, that where to use the RGB mode, where to use the CMYK. We have lots of theories, but till today, I don't think so. We have gone to the details, why to use RGB, why not to use CMYK. So we'll talk about that as well. Apart from that, I will tell you some of the tools of the Adobe Photoshop CC 2021, where we'll talk about the differences between the primary and the secondary tools. So let's start with the first topic. That the first topic is what is new in Adobe Photoshop 2021. So frankly speaking, in this new update of Photoshop, this Photoshop software is much more intelligent now. So Adobe is now concentrating on giving some AI feeling, like artificial intelligence feeling to the software. So I can even give you the small demonstration about this software. So this is the software which I'm talking about. In this software, everything is quite similar, but this time they are trying to make it more smart, that it can save your time. It can also give you the feel that this software can do much more things which you are thinking, because now this software is having a capability of doing things automatically for you. So for example, to give you a demonstration, what I will do, I will just download one simple image from the Google and I will show you what this software can do for you. So I will just go to Google and I will look for just one small landscape. So I will look for sky landscape images. So here we will look for some of the images. Now just copy. We'll open this in Photoshop. So suppose if this is an image and I want to just replace this sky area. So what I need to do here, just let me open it in a full view. So for just replacing this sky, now nothing you need to do. You just click on edit. Let me click on edit. And here you have a new tool called sky replacement. So you need to just click on this, and here you will get bunch of new skies available for you. So this is something new. Here you are not doing anything. Software is doing a lot of things for you. So it will give you a lot of options now to change the sky according to your need, and automatically software will come to know in the image where is the sky, and it will automatically remove it and give you different options. So here you can see in the image the sky is replaced, and not only this sky is available, you have a lot of other options available. So here you have a lot of choices. Like if you want to create the evening side, just click on this, and there we go. So this is the biggest thing which we are noticing in Adobe CC 2021, that even itself Adobe is trying to create this software more and more automated, which can save your time, which can make you feel like that there is nothing to do. This software having own capability to create a lot of different kind of variations of the images to you. Now let's close this thing. Apart from that, we have some neural filters. This is again a new concept from Adobe. Here what you can do, that you can actually do a lot of editing in terms of filters. For example, in other softwares, many of the Photoshop travel softwares are there, where you see that there are some plugins or there are some kind of a drag and drop features. You just drag it and you will see the editing is automatically there. So the same thing, you are just looking here that we are giving some kind of options there. You can actually do things automatically, and it can save a lot of time here as well. How? Let's see. This time I need again a portrait. So I will go to Google and look for some portraits. So let's look for a good one. You simply copy the image. Then now in the Photoshop, I need to put it. So I'll just close it for a while. File, new. And here we go. So here you are facing something that here I just copied an image from Google, and as I'm opening it, you can see a lot of pixels are there. So it means what is happening, that the image quality is not that good, and this picture if I will use, it will create a lot of mess for me. So here I'm giving you a free tip. Whenever you are copying something from Google, Google can also help you out to get the exact picture which you want. For that, what you need to do, you need to tell the Google that I don't need a low quality image. Just click on tools, click on size, and here you need to click on large. So whenever you will do it, you will just get the images one whose file size is really big, and you can easily use them. So let's see, we'll go for another image now. So here you can see the file size is much more improved now. So just press copy, and now I will just start new. And here we go. So in this image, if you want to change the expressions, you can use the neural filters, or if you want to give some kind of a makeover to her, you can use the neural filters. So let's see how. Just click on neural filters. So here we have lots of new kind of filters available. You can see this beta tag is available there because lots of these filters are still under development phase. But what they can do, here you can see the sample. You can even change the age, you can change the expression, or you can change even the look of somebody by just clicking. Some small clicks can do that thing for you. So let's see how it can do. So here you can see there are different expressions like to make her look more happy, more surprised, more angry. So what you need to do, you just simply drag this slider towards the right and leave it. So it will take a while. You can see the process is going on towards the crowd. So it works. But unfortunately, we haven't got any result. Some errors was there in this filter. As I'm showing you, this all thing is in a beta testing. So sometimes things are working, sometimes not working. But what you will get, that it will automatically create some kind of expressions for you, which is really a good thing that these kind of face recognition technologies are there with Photoshop, which will allow you to do things in just a click. It can change the expression, it can change the skin retouching. So these things are coming in the new updates of Photoshop, which is making this software more and more advanced than the last versions. Now let's move to the other topics as well. Now just go to back to Photoshop. Next topic is why we should learn the Photoshop. So this is the biggest question which people generally ask me, that why I should learn Photoshop. So the right answer is that Photoshop is the only software in today's time who's having that much of power that can edit an image in any mode. Like you can edit an image to any extent. There is no limit. You can as you can see, you can change the backgrounds, you can change the expressions, you can change the skin color, you can change everything, whatever you feel like in this software. So this is the most important thing, that we have lots of other image editing softwares available. But what power Photoshop is having, no other software can do that. Apart from that, this is the first software for you to start any of the career. For example, if you want to go to a designing field, first of all, you need to know how to edit the images or how to create some kind of illustrations. For illustration purpose, you have to learn Adobe Illustrator. For editing an image, you need to start from Photoshop. So Photoshop is like the first step to start off your career as a designer or as an architect, or even if you want to go to any other field, like you want to go to mobile app development or any other stuff. So Photoshop is the first stage from where you can start your journey to the digital, uh, you can say a digital, we have a word called DTP, desktop publishing software. So whatever softwares are coming in DTP, you can go to any of the software. So the Photoshop will be like the first letter for you from where you will start off. Now, the next topic which I'm gonna cover in this, that is the basics of photography. So this is the most important thing, that first of all, learn some of the basics of photography. So if you guys know or don't know, that photography is a process which combine two things. So if there's a word called photography, and if we divide it into two parts, so it will come up with a combination of two things, photon plus graph. So photon and graph stand for that photon, you know that this is a light particle, which whenever the sunlight is coming towards the earth, it always coming with the small packets, that's called photon. So whenever the photon bursts, those those bursting actually cause us to see things. Because of those photons we can see things. Because of those photons the cameras are working. So every camera is having a shutter. In the manual cameras, there was a photosensitive reel. So whenever that shutter goes up and that particles are going and giving some kind of a graph, some kind of impressions to the photosensitive reel, that actually creates some kind of graphs. And whenever we develop them into some of the dark rooms, then we got the photographs. Then the new word came, images. And most of my students ask me, what is the difference between a photo and an image? Even I think you guys also have some kind of confusions. What is image? What is photograph? So I'm telling you the answer today. That image, if you see that the meaning of image is some kind of a copy. We mostly use mirror images. So image is actually a copy or a compressed format of a photograph. And why we are using images? Because in the manual SLR, so the manual camera, there was a photosensitive reel. But afterwards, there was digital camera. In a digital camera, we don't have any kind of a reel, but we have a memory card. And in a memory card, we have one constraint that we have a limited space. In today's time, we don't have that kind of limitations because we have such a uh, high capacity memory cards available. Like today, in today's time, we have 16 gigs or 32 gigs, 64 gigs are also available. But in old time, even having a 4 GB memory card is a really big thing. So at that time, even the softwares of the cameras were also not that good that can handle the, you can say the file size of a photograph. So at that time, what was happening that whenever you click a photo, it just goes to the memory card into two different places. There is one a hidden folder called RAW, and then another folder that's called DICM. So in the RAW folder, you got the original photo, and the compressed version of the same photograph got stored to a different folder, and there it is compressed to a new format. So if you see, the format of a photograph is .RAW, and the compressed format is .jpeg, JPEG, which we are using day to day life. So what is the difference in both of them? Both are looks absolutely the same, but the difference is that the photo is having more details. It having .raw extension, and has it is like the original negative of the photograph. But why we are not using it? Because it is around 40 MB, and even the compressed version of that it's 1.2 MB. So even a digital camera can't handle 40 MB files. Every time you're clicking something, 40 MB got stored, then camera need to work to display it on the screen or just move it here and there. So in that point, they have no other way to just compress them into a format which is actually acceptable. That's why we always got an image. Even in the Google, whenever you search for anything, 99% time you're working with the image because image is less in the size and it is really handy to work on that. So now I think you got the differences between a photo and an image. That photograph is an original negative of an image. An image is just like a carbon copy, just a compressed format of that. So the next question could be in your mind that what is better, photo or an image? So quite frankly, photograph is the original negative. It's having a lot of details in that, but image is just like a copied version, a compressed version. So having a you know, less details in that. So it totally depends on the situation. If suppose if you have to do image makeover, you have seen in the many of the magazines, lot of good quality pictures are there. Why they are having such a good quality? Because that was edited photo. So first of all, we have a photograph from such a high quality camera, and then we are editing it with Photoshop to a next level. So whenever details are your main constraint, better to edit a photograph, because in a photo you can go to a huge limits. There's no limits actually. But in an image, everything is got compressed, so details are not there. So you have limits. You can't go beyond the limit to edit anything. So this is the basic difference between editing an image or editing a photograph. Next question, that can photo be edited into Photoshop? So my right answer is the most of the time Photoshop is just used for image editing. But yes, you can use if you can use it as a photo editor as well. But for that, you need to use one more plugin from Adobe that's called Adobe Camera Raw. And that plugin you can use to edit the photos as well in Adobe Photoshop. But make sure that first you need to open them in Adobe Camera Raw, and then with the help of that particular tool, you can actually export them and open into Photoshop. So both things are correct for you. Like you can edit the image, you can edit the photographs, but first of all, you need to know the difference between photo and an image. So yes, now we also understood the basics of photography and as well as the difference between image and the photo. Now the next thing is digital color modes. I think you all are very much familiar about it, but are digital color modes all about? So if we go to any of the software and just click on color, just double click on this. So here you will see the color modes. So the color modes are like RGB, CMYK, lab, and the HSP. So these are the 4 color modes available for all of the softwares in the DTP era. I'm using one word again and again, DTP, that is called desktop publishing software. So if you guys confused about it, what this is all about, so I'm telling you that whenever you are publishing anything from the desktop, that is DTP. In this, two major companies are there. One is Adobe, then second is the Microsoft, who just creating these softwares. It means MS Office is a part of DTP, because if you are creating a resume, you are publishing something. If you are creating a PowerPoint presentation, you are presenting something. Again, if you are creating a spreadsheet, an Excel sheet, again, you are presenting a data. So all of these softwares belonging to Microsoft are the part of DTP, as well as the softwares from Adobe, like Adobe Photoshop is there. If you want to create a poster, you need to use Adobe Photoshop. If you want to create a drawing, an illustration, you need to use Adobe Illustrator. So DTP software means if you are using a desktop or a laptop for creating something, that's called a DTP software, a desktop publishing software. So in the same era, if you are using colors in any of the software, maybe in Photoshop, maybe in MS Word, anywhere, you need to figure out these color modes. It is similar to the primary or the secondary colors in a day-to-day life. So here you can see there are 4 modes: RGB, CMYK, HSP, and the lab. And by default, you will always see that all of the Photoshop documents are mainly set to RGB, because most of us is knowing that RGB is known as the web colors and CMYK is known for the printing. But till today, we have never think about it, why RGBs are web colors and why CMYK is a print color. What will happen if I print in RGB? And what will happen if I use CMYK on web? So that's a question. Most of us is never even think about it. So we made this rule, but we have no idea why we made this rule. So today I'm going to tell you the differences, why RGB is used for web and why CMYK is used for print. Okay. So for example, if there is a document, for example, if this is a picture and I want to make a printout of this, and I have 2 ways to do it. Either I will print it on a RGB color palette or I can print it to a CMYK. What will be the difference? You won't believe that if you print them in a 2 different way, maybe from the RGB palette or from the CMYK palette, the quality will be absolutely the same. Many of my students say that there will be a bit difference in the quality. No, it's not true. Some people say RGB is having 3 colors, CMYK is having 4 colors. So 4 colors can create a better quality. No, again, it's incorrect. So what is the difference? The difference will be only in the pricing of that particular print. That whenever you will print it in RGB, maybe the printing cost will cost you around rupees 100. But whenever you will print it on CMYK, the costing of this print will be not more than rupees 10. So this is the difference. That's why we people call that just print it on CMYK. Now no other region is there. In a similar way, if we talk about the web, why people say to just put RGB on web? Because in the website, I'm not going to print anything. So there is no printing cost. So why use RGB on the website? Again, the answer is the file size. Whenever you save something in RGB, the file size will be lesser. Whenever you will save something in CMYK, the file size will be even more. So whenever you will upload these documents, RGB will be much lighter than the CMYK. And this kind of file size is really important whenever you are working with a website. Maybe if you have an unlimited space available on your web server, still having a lightweight image can create a good user experience for your visitor on your website because it will take less time to download. And if your website responds fastly, for sure your client, your users will be much more happy. That's why we use RGB for the web and CMYK for print. It's not like that. This is just a theory that RGB is for web and CMYK is for the print. So this is the main thing which I like to tell you all, that whenever we are learning something, we should think about it, but not to just follow the theories. We need to find the logics behind it. Why we are using this only, why we are using that only. So that should be a very good way of learning. So once you know that, okay, I'm using this thing because of this reason, so you will never gonna skip that part because you know why I'm doing it. On the other hand, we are just memorizing things. Okay, this is for web, this is for the print. One day you will get confused and you will say, oh, CMYK is for web or CMYK is for print. I don't know. So that's why these are the difference between RGB and CMYK. Then the less HSB and the lab coloring. So these two colorings are actually very much unknown to us. Most of us just know it for RGB and CMYK. So HSB is an hue, saturation, and brightness. It is this particular plugin, or you can say this particular color mode is dedicated to Photoshop only. In a Photoshop, if you are doing SDR corrections, then you need to use this particular color mode. So if you want to know more about HDR, we will talk about this thing in any of the other classes. But HDR in simple words, whenever you want to change the lighting of any of the photograph. For example, if you shoot something in the daytime and you want it in an evening time, if you shoot something indoor, you want to make it look like outdoor. So that's called HDR corrections. And whenever you want to make these kind of corrections to the photograph, you need to use HSV color palette. In the Photoshop, you just go to image adjustment and here you will see this hue, saturation and lightness. Sometimes you will see it HSL, sometimes you will see it HSB. Both of the plugins are absolutely the same. Then you need to know more about it. You just can just go what is hue, what is saturation, what is lightness. Again, because I don't have much time to explain you everything, but in a certain period of time, I can tell you that hue is actually to control the cold colors. Saturation is all about controlling the warm colors, and lightness is all about to control the overall contrast of our image. So that's the what I can tell you, that again it's having a lot of details, but we don't have much time. We will talk in details in other classes about these things. So let's move to the next topic, and that is, now I need to talk about the last topic of this session, that is the primary and the secondary tools in Photoshop. So for that, what I'm going to tell you that in Photoshop, there are a bunch of tools. If you will see in this tool palette, there are lots of tools, and many of us even don't know many of the tools because maybe you are using Photoshop from a long period of time, but still you will feel like that this particular tool is not useful for me, or maybe I'm not using it. So how we can tell that which particular tool is made for what? So first of all, we need to classify them. So According to the Adobe concept, we have two types of tools in Adobe Photoshop. So the first set is, if you just leave this tool, this is called move tool, and the shortcut of this tool, even this is not a shortcut but a key. If you just press V, you will just directly go to the move tool. Then the next tool is your rectangle marquee tool. If you will hold down this tool, you will see four tools in that: rectangle, elliptical, single row, and the single column tools. Then after that, you have lasso tool. Again in lasso, we have lasso, polygonal lasso, magnetic lasso tool available. And then we have this object selection, quick selection tool, and the magic wand tool. So if we just talk about these three tools, your marquee tool, then your lasso tool, and then if we say the magic wand tool. So these three tools are coming in the primary tools sections. Apart from that, all other tools are the secondary tools. So your question could be how we can classify them. What is the reason why these three tools are coming in the primary section, why all other tools are coming in the secondary section? So the right answer is that these are primary because without using these tools, you can't edit an image. It is similar to the primary or the secondary colors. Because of the primary colors, we have secondary colors. Without the help of primary, we can't create secondary colors. Same thing is happening here. Suppose if this is an image and I want to edit it, how I will edit it if I can't select it? So that's why, first of all, we need to learn the primary tools well in Photoshop. Primary tools well means to actually make the selection proper. If you can select something properly, then you can edit it properly. If you can't select it properly, then what you will do? You will spend whole of your time just correcting or hiding your mistakes. So first of all, we should learn these tools very well, like where to use the lasso tool, where to use the magic wand tool, and don't forget this is a new tool, object selection tool. This is just introduced in Adobe CC 2020. For example, suppose if you want to actually just select the complete character, maybe you want to select this model in just a single click, you need to just simply create a rectangle like this. And here we go. You can see the selection is there. So this is something new. Maybe the old version of the Adobe Photoshop is not having that. So now if you can select the model properly, you can actually edit it. You can cut, copy, paste, whatever, you can do that. But just imagine if this tool is not there, how you can do that? Suppose if you want to do it with a lasso, so you need a good proficiency to just use it like a pencil like this. So even your shaky hand will not let you select it properly. So if you're not able to select it properly, how you can edit it? So this is my major tip to you, that be very good in the primary tools. If you are good in primary tools, then secondary tools is just like a piece of cake for you. One more thing which I need to share with you, there is one tool in Photoshop. This is neither a primary tool nor a secondary tool. That is a universal tool. And you can say that is the 60% of Photoshop. Because as I'm saying, if you're not good in selection, things are really complicated in Photoshop for you. So that tool is known as pen tool. So this is the tool that is like the king of this software. So if you have a mastery of just using this tool, your life is so easy in Photoshop. So let's understand the usability of this particular tool. So suppose whenever you click, it's like it create a box and we call it anchor point. Whenever you click and drag, it just create this kind of arc. So whenever you want to change your direction, you can use this thing. Then again click, again this is anchor point. And at the end, when you will go back to the same position, it will give you some kind of a circle will appear with your pen. So it means it is saying path completion. For example, if you will not do this, if I'll just click here, and now I need to create a next path from this particular point, you can't do it. Because as you will click here, it will again start from the same position. So what you need to do first, you need to close this path, and then you can start off a next path, like this. Okay? So let's understand how this pen can be useful for doing some kind of random selection. So for example, if this is a model and you need to select her, you can use the pen tool. How? Simply start from one side, just simply use this one. Now you feel like that I'm using it so easily, but it is not that easy. Whenever you will try to use the pen tool, you always face some kind of difficulty. If you will able to operate this particular pen according to your will, it means you have learned 60% of Photoshop. So just try it out and see can you do it or not. So here you can see, to just selecting this model, I'm just taking few clicks, and whatever I can tell you that just try to use lesser anchor points. As less anchor points you will use, the more smoother selection you will get. So I'm just about to complete it. Here we go. So I've just completed the selection. Just right click, make selection, click OK, and here we go. So after doing the selection, I can do anything with this. I can move it here and there. I can make multiple copies, or I can do whatever. So why it is possible? Because I can even select in a much better way. So this was the last topic in this session, that the difference between the primary and the secondary tools in Adobe Photoshop. So we have a lot of things to cover in this, but in this small session, I can't cover everything. But I hope you enjoyed this particular session and you have lots of information, whatever you got from this particular session. We'll meet you in the next class with some of new topics in Photoshop. Till then, bye-bye and take care.